The biggest challenge for this particular project was the soil conditions underneath my new shop. Our soils engineer took some tests, and what they found was some organic matter, quite a bit of it, about 8 feet down, which meant that we had to redesign our footing, our foundation, from a standard T-footing that walked its way up the hill into a large pier and grade beam type foundation. This included 29 piers, 18 inches diameter, with number 6 and number 7 and number 8 bar into those piers, and then a 2 foot by 4 foot grade beam connecting the entire perimeter and the garage wall, interior garage wall. It was very challenging for our grading contractor because basically we had to work our way back out of the entire project, which meant that it still was a little bit of a slope, but once they started digging the footings, you'll see that they actually had to work their way back out, and we could only drill and dig a little bit of a time at a time, which meant that as we dug our footings in, we would have to stop and change into our drill rig, and then once we finished drilling, then we'd have to lower in our cages. It was a process that was slow and very time consuming, and safety was a factor, but that was the only way that we can get those caissons in and work our way back out of the project. So as you can see, the cages are going in and they're actually hung from above, and once we got the cages in place, we continued to work our way back out, digging, drilling, lowering in cages, and continuing that method until we worked all the way out of the entire project. As you could see, there was not much room by the time they had got their way out the door there. There was just enough room to barely lift that drill rig up, and the mini excavator could only lift so high, and it was about 4 inches off the ground so that he could shake that auger and knock that dirt off. It was a constant movement of dirt, and strategizing on where we wanted to place that dirt as we were moving our way out of the foundation area. Once all the holes were drilled and the cages were placed in the holes, it was a matter of just hanging those cages. Here you'll see some areas that we still had to do by hand. It's just impossible for the mini excavators to get all the spots, so we had to finish by digging these out by hand, which was not very fun, but I could not imagine digging the entire footing out by hand, which is what they used to do in the old days. But anyhow, we had to continue this method until we got all the footings in the right spot and drop the balance of the cages in the holes. Next, we had some large piers over in the corner. These were the supporting piers that handled the most deepest areas. These were 14.5 feet deep, and they were number 8 bar, vertical bar going all the way down. So the idea here is to place your top rebar hooks at the height of your top rebar cage, and this will allow you to tie that cage to the caissons at the right height. So here I'm leveling the caisson forms, and this is all this is going to do is hold the number 8 hooks in place, and then I tie them to the cage down below, and this just holds it at the right height, and that will allow us to build off of that for our upper and lower cages. So once you get the upper cage in place, the run basically, then you could hang the lower cage as well. It's just a matter of one bar at a time and laying it in place. So here all the verticals are up out of the soil, and you can see where we have the piers in the center of the slab. These are box piers, and they actually, the structural engineer allowed us to wet stab those in place, which made it a lot more convenient. So here we're using a stinger. And the idea is that you want to get, you don't want to vibrate it too much, but you do want to get any air bubbles out of the caisson. So here the caissons are all poured out, and now we're going to go ahead and start cutting the cage steel. And right here I'm just cutting massive amounts of cross ties. These cross ties are all the same length, so you could just it just makes it real convenient and easy just to quickly cut this number 5 and number 6 bar with a torch, and not with a cutter. You could just line it up that way. Here you can see all the cages in place, and we also have our verticals in place for the walls, and the end kicker forms, as well as the boxes that are holding the piers for the support posts and the support beams, which will carry the floor load up above. So here we're all ready to pour, and this is a good feeling because the rains are coming and we really want to get this footing tied up. Thanks for watching. Check out the next one. We're pouring concrete.